play. How do they go about playing the defense? Let's just say that a team plays man-to-man defense. Well, there are a variety of ways that you can play man-to-man defense. You can play it over the entire length of the court. You can pick up anywhere from full court to the top of the key. You can utilize traps or not use traps. So there would be, with each defense, a variety of things that you're trying to get your team ready to play against, from, at least in our case, from our standpoint offensively. Then you go to the other team's offensive play. All right? There can be a wide variety of different things that the team emphasizes on the offense. Perhaps it's a team that's a very strong three-point shooting team. Maybe it's a team that really posts hard. Maybe it's a team that drives well, or a combination of any of these things. Then, from an offensive standpoint, when you're preparing for the other team, you're trying to look to see where you can move your best scorers, what you can do with your best shooters to get them the best shots and the most shots against whatever's being done defensively. Then, on the other hand, when you're looking at the other team's offense, they're going to have scores. And this game tonight against Ohio State involves two extremely good scorers in Penn and Red. So a big part of our defensive play has to be against directed toward these two guys. If we can't contain them, we greatly reduce, maybe eliminate, our chances of being able to win the game. I don't think that we can take either of these guys out of the game, but we have to really reduce their effectiveness. We have to make it tough for each of them to score. The harder we make it for them to score, the harder it becomes for Ohio State to score. This is a team that complements one another really well. The two good offensive players are complemented by outside shooting from Sanderson and really strong all-around play from Singleton, and Johnson's a very, very effective player around the basket. So they've got a little bit of everything to go with two exceptionally good offensive players. We've worked at those things that they like to do offensively, as well as working to see what we can do relative to the individual abilities of both Red and Penn. Then at our end, offensively, we've got to, I think, in this particular ball game, make sure that our ball handling doesn't become an asset for their offense, that we can't give up passes, because they've got excellent speed and quickness. They probably, better than anybody in the Big Ten right now, turn mistakes into baskets. Bad passes, interceptions, they turn into baskets very quickly. So our defense basically in this game tonight begins with our ball handling and goes all the way through our being able to block out on the defensive backboard. It's a game that I think we have to play well defensively. When we have played well defensively, we've been a team that's been tough to play against. We haven't won every time that we've played well defensively, but we sure have won the majority of times that we have. On the other hand, when we've not played well defensively...
11th ranked Buckeyes of Ohio State take on the 17th ranked Indiana Hoosiers. What a difference a year makes. Last season's Big Ten doormat, the Ohio State Buckeyes, enter tonight's game in second place. And Ohio State ranked number 11 to take on the Indiana Hoosiers ranked 17th. Let's go to the Big Ten standings right away to show you that Ohio State is in second place. Quite a turnaround from last year. Indiana 6-6, right in the middle of the pack, about 6 teams right there.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Assembly Hall. Along with Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel. A couple of good teams, a couple of good guards in action today. Clark,
two of the highest scoring players in the Big Ten, Lewis Bullock and A.J. Guyton. Both of these guys have unlimited range. We take a look at Sweet Lou first. One of the best three-point shooters in the history of college basketball. He gets loose with good ball movement, without the ball, can bury the three, but he gets to the line 7 times a game because he can also beat you off the dribble. A.J. Guyton has what I call in-the-gym range. Anywhere inside of half court, he can stroke it effectively. There you see him knocking down the triple, but he's also been pretty effective defensively, using his quickness to come up with a steal and an assist for Luke Record.
Home stretch of the Big Ten season. These teams looking to better themselves for the postseason tournament. We'll have starting lineups in the opening tap when we come back after this message and a word from your local station. Yeah, Brian. Brandon Smith, Peter Vignier, and Josh Aslin. And Robbie Reed and Lewis Bullock and Bob Knight starting this lineup for the first time all year long. And it is Recker, Haston, and Larry Richardson. And then, yeah. All right. Yeah, right. What happened to Greg? Oh, he was run down by a guy with a big red flag. Turner Brown.
All right, man. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. We might not get to it, though. I think the game's going to be too good.
Overtime. Bad, 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 bad. One year ago, the Michigan Wolverines matchup between the Wolverines of Michigan and the Indiana Hoosiers, two basketball tradition-rich schools who are used to loftier standings. They're now getting ready to position themselves for the Big Ten postseason tournament. And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Bloomington, Indiana. Along with Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel. Two teams on display here as we head down the home stretch of the Big Ten season with a couple of terrific guards on the floor today, Clark.
Two of the best scorers in the Big Ten Conference, Lewis Bullock and A.J. Guyton. And Bullock, you have a sweet shooting two-guard. He goes by the name of Sweet Lou. Movement without the ball creates the kind of space he likes to get behind that three-point line. But he gets to the line 7 times a game, in part because he can beat you off the dribble as well. A.J. Guyton has been on a rip of late. In his last 10 games, 22 points a game. In the gym range he has. Anywhere over half court, he can stroke it effectively, but he's also effective at the defensive end, using his quickness to come up with the pilfer.
Only a handful of games remaining in the Big Ten regular season. Each of these games important for final season positioning. We'll be back with the starting lineups and the opening tip when we come back to Bloomington after this message and a word from your local station. Smith, Peter Vignier, and Josh Aslin, who had a terrific game in the first meeting between these two schools. A great backcourt in Robbie Reed, 6'2" senior guard, and starting lineup for the Hoosiers this season. Luke Recker, Kirk Haston, Larry Richardson start up front. In the backcourt, a couple of juniors, Mike Lewis and A.J. Guyton. The officials for this afternoon's game: Phil Bova, Tom Rucker, Zelton Steed. The Hoosiers will be wearing the home white and going from left to right on your screen against the Wolverines. And the tap goes to the Hoosiers.
A couple of things to look for early, Greg. One, Michigan would like to get in transition and in the half-court run a lot of pick and rolls. How will Indiana handle that defensively? Can Indiana bring Guyton loose early?
Record. And the rebound off to the Wolverines. Michigan won the first meeting between these two teams back on the 5th of January. Bullock leads into his man. His shot comes up short, and Lewis comes down with the ball. Down the lane, bounce pass on the baseline, and Recker can't get it to fall. This is Robbie Reed down the lane, flips it off, and the shot is good. Josh Aslan gets the first 2 on the board today.
Well, it's obvious Michigan would like to push the ball ahead, try to get some easy baskets in transition. They'll also try to throw it inside to create space for Robbie Reed and Lewis Bullock so they can knock down those three-point shots.
Foul down low goes against Michigan. Big near. You see how these two teams have fared through the years. Michigan won by 12 back on the 5th of January in Ann Arbor. And this is out of bounds to Indiana. I want to remind you, for those of you expecting to see the Alabama-Vanderbilt game, we will get you there in time for the opening tip, and that is scheduled for 1 p.m. Eastern time. Inside, nice pass down low, and the basket is good by Larry Richardson.
Richardson coming off a career high in minutes, points, and rebounds in their loss to Ohio State, and then he gets beat inside by Big Near. Trying to do damage inside. Just a mix-up defensively by Michigan. Looked like they were in the zone, lost track of Richardson. He's got quick, happy feet. He was able to break free on that out-of-bounds play.
Indiana foul is on Luke Record. Big Near makes the three-point play. 6'11" junior out of Teaneck, New Jersey. And it's 5-2 Michigan.
Good sign for Brian Ellerby. Anytime he gets points from his guys up front, Aslan and Big Near, it makes the game a little easier for Bullock and Reed on the perimeter.
Bounce pass, Record down the lane, blocked and fouled. Josh Aslan.
He leads them in block shots. Brian Ellerby thinking there was an awful lot of orange gotten on that block, but a little bit with the body as well.
But a tough year for Brian Ellerby, but he said he expected his team to come out here and play hard today.
Exactly. He was a little disappointed in their effort against Michigan State the other night. It felt like his team had a good couple of days of practice and were ready to come in here and compete hard.
Record converts both from the free throw line and cuts the Michigan lead to 1. 18-20 to play here in the first half. Smith looking down low. Aslan spins and scores. Aslan has 4. Michigan has a 3-point lead. Nice look. And blocked from behind, and the foul is going to be called, and that brings Brian Ellerby up steaming and mad off the bench. What's the problem if you can read lips?
Well, Indiana just runs a little pick and roll here. Richardson shakes free, and that is as clean as you can get from behind. He got all basketball there. And that's the second foul on Aslan, who had gotten off to a decent start offensively.
And that will bring Aslan to the bench, and he'll be replaced by 6'9" freshman Chris Young.
Be interesting to see if that changes what Brian Ellerby wants to do. Big Near has already scored in the post. Aslan got a basket in the post. That was certainly an area of emphasis coming into this game to try to get points in the paint. With Aslan in foul trouble now, you wonder if they'll still try to dump it into Chris Young.
Hoosiers don't convert at free throw line. It's 7-4. Reed to the baseline, and it is out of bounds to Indiana.
He was one dribble away from a perfect passing angle. If he takes one more bounce towards the baseline, he can make that pass a little easier.
Guyton has it batted away by Reed. Up ahead, Brandon Smith for 2.
I tell you what, Brian Ellerby would give his team A's in both of the areas that he talked about. Let's score in the post, and let's try to push the ball ahead in transition.
Same play they ran last time down court, and this time Larry Richardson connects with the dunk. He has 4.
Greg, he's got such quick feet. As soon as he sets that screen, he's already rolling, and Michigan has yet to respond to that pick and roll.
Michigan with the ball in a 3-point lead. Bullock to the baseline, kicks it back out. Young's first shot of the day is too long. baseline. Oh, what a move by A.J. Guyton. Looked at the double team, and then Chris Young backed off.
I've done 2 Indiana games this year. Guyton has gone for 58 in the 2 games I've seen. And when he is aggressive, he is a headache in terms of being able to guard it.
Well, that would explain why A.J. paid your airfare here.
Well, here you see a little pick and roll, slow rotation by the Wolverines. Larry Richardson all alone at the goal.
So Indiana cuts Michigan's lead to 1 with 16:20 to play in the first half. Richardson, turnaround, he's there.
Big fella feeling it. I mean, he's coming off a career high against Ohio State, off to a great start today, and just took a charge.
Larry Richardson, 6'8" junior out of Orange Park, Florida, making things happen for Indiana.
Bullock trying to get to the lane, and clearly Richardson anticipating the drive. I've talked about it earlier, but he has very quick feet. That's one of the things Coach Knight really likes about him.
Top of the key, Hastings gets it to fall. Indiana by 3. Young in the lane, traveling. And we have our first timeout of the day with 15:44 to play in the first half. Hoosiers down early, now lead by 3. Sure. All right. I'll say a little bit of questions is how many bids is the Big Ten going to get? It always is a popular, but take a look at how they perform.
Exactly, and your work as a basketball team is refined in the fire of March Madness, and clearly the Big Ten has had some stumbles, 95 and 96, a little better showing the last couple of years, and the talk is anywhere from 6 to 7, and I think that's realistic, and probably the number, one of those numbers you'll see in terms of representation from this conference. A lot of basketball left, but I feel strongly that they'll have at least 6.
Recker on the baseline, blocked from behind, gets his own pass again, and will go the other way.
There are 2 situations where the new held ball rule gives the ball to the defense. One is on a simultaneous block, just as we saw there. The other is when clearly the offensive player has possession and the defender forces the tie up. Good job by the officials there.
Bullock now working at the top of the key. First appearance of the game for 0. Leon Jones, who missed that shot, and Recker with the rebound. Richardson. And here come the Wolverines. Brandon's putback was no good, and the tip by Vignier is good. He has 5 of Michigan's 11 points. 1-point game. We were talking in the break, Clark, how that one foul call on Aslan, which was his second of the game, has really changed the complexion of things for Michigan as we get a foul call against the Wolverines.
Well, right after Aslan was forced to go out with the 2 fouls, they tried to throw the ball inside to Chris Young, the freshman, and he immediately turns it over twice, so it disrupts your flow and rhythm. And yet, because Michigan has been able to push it a little in transition, they've still maintained close contact here.
First foul of the day on Brandon Smith, and that'll send Luke Recker to the line. Recker, 6'6" sophomore out of Auburn, Indiana, and the numbers on him, and he has been able to come in and wreak a little havoc.
He can do that. And when he's active and aggressive at the defensive end, it really gets his offense percolating. He's had his most difficulties when he's been unable to do what Coach Knight wants him to do from a defensive standpoint.
Recker hits them both. Larry Richardson replaced by Rob Turner on the floor, and Richardson did a fine job in the first 5.5 minutes of this game. Vignier spins in the lane. Short hook doesn't fall. Rebound off to Hastings, and here come the Hoosiers again with the basketball and the 3-point lead. doesn't find a cutter and brings it back up top. Record bumped up top by Jones. While we have a moment, we'll remind you, get complete team rosters and in-depth statistics on every Division I player in the college basketball player pages at cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online at keyword CBS Sportsline.
Greg, anytime I come into a basketball game, there are 4 statistics that I typically try to look at. The free throw game, rebounding, three-point shooting, and turnovers. Right now, Michigan has 16 fouls. Indiana only has 1. So clearly, Indiana could be in a position to be shooting foul shots for the bulk of this half, and that could be a huge factor in this game.
As we come the other way with 14 minutes to play in the first half, Michigan trying to rediscover some of that momentum that they had in the first few minutes of the game. Bullock back outside. Reed had it blocked by Guyton. Recovered by Bullock. There's still plenty of time left on the Michigan shot clock. Bullock, a drive, comes up short. Haston with the ball. This is a Michigan team that clearly has to get production from its 2 backcourt players. Recker again on the baseline.
And so far, Greg, Reed and Bullock have been contained.
Smith doesn't get the ball, batted it back up top, and recovered by Lewis. 3-on-1, Guyton. Offensive foul.
A.J. Guyton penetrating, drawing defenders, and finding the moving Recker. Another angle of the same play. And now Recker, actually Turner to Guyton in transition. Nice job by Lou Bullock to give up the body. The fans don't like it, but from the angle I saw, it looked like the right call.
Bob Knight still working on the officials. Wild shot put up by Reed, but Michigan retains possession. Vignier, quick turnaround. Can't get it to fall. And Haston with another rebound. Lewis blocked off top of the key. Guyton. A couple of fakes and then a nice pass down low to the freshman Haston.
Well, Guyton in the 2 games I've done has shown me his offensive package from a scoring standpoint. Makes a nice assist there. Record.
Indiana by 7. And that'll be a travel. Let's go back to A.J. Guyton.
Well, anytime you can penetrate and break down the defense, actually didn't really penetrate. Michigan just lost track of Haston. Vignier came over and forgot about Haston.
Remember, this turnaround happened back when Josh Aslan drew his 2nd personal on a questionable call. Turner in the lane, gives it up. Haston open. During practice yesterday, Kirk Haston, it's fair to say, got most of the attention from Bob Knight. But then again, he's a freshman, and you would figure he may have the most to learn.
I'm sure that's the way Coach Knight looked at it.
Indiana on a 16-2 run. Reed stripped to the ball. Gets it back. Vignier off the baseline, way off. Hasn't had anything fall for him today.
He's gotten a number of shots, but you're right, Greg. To go back to having to sit Josh Aslan down really has had a negative effect on what Michigan was trying to do and was doing effectively in the early going.
We'll have a stoppage of play with 11:32 to play in the first half. They don't know it's a timeout.
It's not because he's going to shoot free throws. They don't go to the timeout until after the free throws now.
A.J. Guyton to the free throw line to shoot a couple. And now we will take a timeout here in Assembly Hall. And Indiana has doubled up Michigan, 22-11. Now back on the court, something Brian Ellerby has to do here before things get out of hand.
You're right, Greg, because they've struggled, and he was off to a strong start. The questionable second foul call, and Michigan now finds himself down double digits. The key for Aslan, obviously, how long can he go without picking up the third foul?
There's another turnover. Michigan has made just one field goal in the last 7 minutes of play. They're only shooting 29% on the day. That will win you nothing.
Indiana doing a nice job defensively on Bullock and Reed.
Number 11, Dane Fife, into the game now for the Hoosiers. He's on the near side of the court, but the turnover gives the ball back to Bullock on the drive, and that breaks a long route. 22-13, Indiana.
Michigan showing zone for the first time that trip. They'll stay with it now.
I'm guessing that's in part to help protect Aslan.
Part of that is, and also to keep the lanes from being open. Indiana has been able to get inside an awful lot here in the early going.
Back come the Hoosiers off the miss. Jones down the lane, gets into trouble. Loose ball on the floor, and the jump ball is called.
We have no possession.
This should be the possession arrow being used here because there was no clear possession before the tie-up. I think this rule will get revisited during the offseason, but clearly this is a case where you go to the arrow. Nobody had clear possession, so you take it to the arrow.
Michigan inbounds to Bullock in the backcourt. Number 24, Ron Oliver, also into the game. Off the baseline, quick shot is good. Aslan with 6 now. Makes his presence felt right away.
Well, he went for 16 and 10 in the first meeting, which Michigan won by 12. So he can get some things done down in the low post.
On the baseline, no good. Rebound, Richardson, no good. And that foul over the back is going to go against number 11, Dane Fife.
The difference Josh Aslan makes for Michigan. Big Near got these same kinds of shots a little while ago and couldn't convert. Aslan with the nice soft touch, able to pay dividends.
Aslan just a sophomore at 6'11" from Cairo, Michigan. 22-15 as the Wolverines have reeled off 4 straight points. Aslan, and that's an offensive foul.
Wow.
And Brian Ellerby fit to be tied.
Oh my.
That's number 3 on Aslan.
Wow. Let's take a peek. I think this is a good play by Aslan.
Once again, Larry Richardson takes the charge.
He didn't take a charge as much as he got a break. If anything, that's just incidental contact there.
Fife, bounce pass, lost and recovered by Hastings. Shot clock down to 10 now. Lewis in the lane, threw it away.
Now you wonder, Brian Ellerby hasn't made a move to take Josh out. He's got 3 fouls. Taking a huge risk here.
Bullock, bounce pass, beautiful play to Aslan.
Well, that's probably why
Might be the reason
got to
why.
leave him out there.
22-17. What was once an 11-point lead, now down to 5.
And the zone defense has bothered Indiana the last 4 or 5 trips.
Hastings. Tap no good, loose ball. Bullock has it. Here come the Wolverines again. Reed. In and out. Hastings with the rebound. Fouled from behind by Jones.
Well, I think they may have called it on Aslan, Greg.
The foul is on Josh Aslan, and that's 4.
Now this is a foul that Josh just can't make. Haston clearly has possession of the ball. You've got 3 fouls. There's a guy at the scorer's table ready to come in for you. You can't make that foolish a foul there.
Brian Ellerby pacing the sidelines is probably saying, you know, why don't you just cut my arms off?
And it was a tough situation for Brian Ellerby. He was trying to get him out for the rest of the half with the 3 as we look at Curse Hastings' numbers. This young man has an excellent shooting touch and has really played well the last 2 ball games. 13 points, 8 rebounds a game in his last 7 outings.
Now you've got to figure Indiana is looking at a Michigan team that's going to go without Aslan for most of the rest of the way.
Well, that means Bullock and Reed have to get their game going.
The foul is on Turner up top. Number 1 on Turner. Brian Ellerby was talking to him yesterday, asking him how much of a come down it's been from a year ago where he stepped in as interim head coach and led the Wolverines to the Big Ten Tournament Championship. And he said a lot. It's been a lot.
A little different this year. But he's complimented his players by saying they've given him good effort, they've played hard, and for the most part have been competitive.
His problem today is no one other than Josh Aslan has been able to find much of a consistent range.
And they really don't have a lot of depth. He pretty much plays 7 guys and 7 guys only.
Turner's 3 doesn't fall. And while Indiana's not burning up the nets, Michigan hasn't been able to take advantage. Smith pops out. Looking for shooting room and doesn't find any. Reed for 3. Front of the rim. Richardson with the rebound. Turnaround blocked by Smith. Ball comes right back to him. With Aslan out, there's going to be even more pressure than usual on the backcourt duo of Reed and Bullock.
Precisely. And they haven't been able to find the rhythm or their strokes as of yet, but only down 7. So Brian Ellerby hoping they can maintain contact here.
Blocked shot leads to a tie-up, and it'll be Indiana ball when we come back right after this. And then on camera.
No difference in the game, point-wise, right there.
Yeah. All right. Back in Bloomington, Indiana, you see the game summary, and there are a couple of significant things on there, Clark, not the least of which is Michigan shooting just 33%, and Josh Aslan with 8 points, but 4 personal fouls. Things aren't looking good for Brian Ellerby and crew.
They've really struggled. Bullock and Reed have only combined to shoot 1 of 10, but the free throw discrepancy, which we talked about when Michigan went over the limit in team fouls, has led to the difference in the game. Indiana has made 8 free throws, Michigan only 1, and the margin is 7.
Michigan has 17 points in 13 minutes and 5 seconds so far here this afternoon. Guyton open for 3.
Cannot leave him, Greg. The zone had been effective, but if you leave him, he'll make you pay.
Guyton with 7 on the day. Michigan now with Jones, Oliver, Vignier, Brandon Smith, and Robbie Reed on the floor. Jones off the glass. Leon Jones with his first bucket of the afternoon, 27-19. And the Wolverines still in the zone defense. Richardson immediately double team, now triple team, and almost tied up. in the key. Long jump shot by Guyton.
I said it in the open, he has in the gym range, meaning when he's in the building, he can shoot it and shoot it effectively.
Reed along the baseline sets up Ron Oliver. And the senior from Little Rock, Arkansas, makes it a 30-21 game. 5.5 minutes to play first half. Lewis in the lane, looks for a cutter that wasn't there. Remind you, you like college, will you know?
You got that right. Utah on a nice roll. They haven't lost in a long time. And Texas surprising everybody with their play in the Big 12.
We get a whistle down low, and this is going to go against the Hoosiers. And will also bring Indiana's Luke Jimenez off the bench for the first time. Foul is on William Gladness. Make it Larry Richardson. Robbie Reed for three. Curls it home.
Well executed play on the baseline. When you can get points on your baseline or sideline out of bounds plays, those are nice bonuses for your team.
That one is going to go against, travel. Travel is called. Thought sure it was going to be a foul on Peter Vignier.
You and about 17,000 other folks in here.
And that man. So it's now a 6-point game. And Michigan looking to cut into Indiana's lead.
With two three-point shooters like Reed and Bullock, as long as the game doesn't get completely out of hand, you've always got a chance to get back in it in a hurry.
Guyton open, three-pointer on the way short. Vignier with the loose ball. Michigan with Vignier, Reed, Bullock, Brandon Smith, and Oliver on the floor.
Bullock really struggling, indecisive in that shot attempt. Probably should have pulled up from the three.
Ball batted away from behind, regained by Jimenez, and now Lewis. Baseline, Gladness, bounce pass, Richardson foul. That's Bob Knight's reaction to A.J. Guyton's three-point attempt.
If you're reading his lips, he was saying shot fake, A.J. shot fake. You know, over the years, that's been one of the patented moves for IU players to show the ball. I think that shot was partially blocked because the defender had a running start on it.
Brian Ellerby has a gripe about that last free throw. Figures it hit the clock at the top. The officials are saying, no, it didn't, Brian. Boy, there's a story right there. Michigan, one free throw attempt so far today.
Greg, at any level, high school, college, or pro, you would be amazed at the number of times the team that wins the free throw game wins on the scoreboard. Because getting free throws points to being aggressive, typically, in the course of a basketball game.
Bullock. Will Fife on it. Finds a path cut off, and then it's knocked out of bounds with 9 seconds on the shot clock. And with 9 seconds on the shot clock and 3:26 on the game clock, we'll take a timeout. Welcome back to Assembly Hall. Indiana leading Michigan 31-24. We'll remind you, coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Michelle Tafoya will get you caught up on all the scores and highlights, and we'll tell you about Utah star guard Andre Miller, why he decided to stay in school for his senior year. That's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half.
Well, Brian Ellerby hoping to get into the locker room at halftime down no worse than 9. Considering Aslan is going to sit the rest of this half with 4 fouls. Bullock and Reed haven't gotten off yet.
Bullock still hasn't. Young with the rebound.
Part of the reason they've hung around is the board work. Now they're 19 rebounds to only 13 for Indiana.
Young. Bullock for 3. Still not there. Young follows and scores. And he'll go to the line. Chris Young is indeed the freshman from Plymouth, Michigan at 6'9".
Well, a little buffet style on the glass here as Michigan gets multiple opportunities. Bullock with a wide open look, and Chris Young just chasing down that orange, able to get the basket and the foul.
Missed the free throw, 31-26, and we're under 3 minutes to play for the half. I wouldn't say Brian Ellerby is ecstatic, but he's got to be pleased considering his star shooter is having a horrible day so far. Richardson, and a nice look from Gladness. And Josh Aslan is on the bench with 4 personals. And he is still in the vicinity. Bounce pass, Young batted out of bounds. It'll be Michigan ball. Go back to the other end on the baseline.
Well, all of this started because Vignier gambled and missed, and when he did that, that created an advantage inside for Indiana. And just a nice pass from Gladness to Richardson.
Vignier baseline, puts it home.
Well, you talked about Brian Ellerby being ecstatic. I think he would be, Greg. I mean, they're within 5, and if they don't allow Indiana to have a surge here to end the half, they can be in pretty good shape coming out for the second half, although the 4 fouls on Aslan still a major concern.
This is Jimenez. Fife, top of the key, Guyton. And a swarming zone defense for the Wolverines. Shot clock is at 4. Fife's got a force and hit. There's a break for the Hoosiers and a dagger through Brian Ellerby's heart.
Well, in conference play, Fife is only 9 of 24 from the field coming into this game, so you certainly don't expect him to knock down an off-balance shot fighting the shot clock.
Haston onto the floor as Knight questions the call. Minute 31 to play, first half. Aslan left this game with 8:24 to play, and it was a 24-15 game at the time, and this foul is called on Fife. Want to remind you, coming up next, final round coverage of the Nissan Open from Pacific Palisades, California, where Ted Treba beats Tiger Woods, Davis Love III, and Ernie Els by 2 shots. Now, what were you howling about Ted Treba?
Well, he donned the scarlet and gray of Ohio State as a golfer. That's a strong leaderboard, by the way, with those names on top.
Partial to the scarlet and gray, are you?
Just mildly so, having spent some time there.
Robbie Reed with 5 points and a 5-point Indiana lead with a minute 20 to play in the first half. Yes, you did put in what they call quality time.
Thank you, sir.
Once again, that hard-working zone defense goes to work for the Wolverines.
You got to penetrate the seams and then be ready to catch and shoot. You can't pick up your dribble. That's 5 seconds, if not more. Guyton picked up the dribble.
Guyton called a timeout before he got the call against him. And it stops the clock with 58.2 to play in the first half. And while we have a moment, he is, and I think Brian would agree with us, fortunate is the word for him to be within 5 points with a minute to play, considering the problems he's had here in the first half.
The foul problems of Josh Aslan, Lewis Bullock and Robbie Reed have yet to play up to their normal standard. He's gotten great work out of the zone defense and solid contributions from his bench.
Shot clock at 3. Jimenez, top of the key, gets front rim. Richardson with the rebound and the putback. Larry Richardson with 11 points. He's had himself a first half here. 7-point lead for the Hoosiers. Robbie Reed steals a look at the game clock. Long three-pointer by Reed, doesn't fall. Rebound to Richardson. Ill-advised shot by Robbie Reed there with plenty of time left. We're in the final 15 seconds of the first half, and the Hoosiers will hold on for a final shot.
Michigan going man-to-man on this last possession of the half.
Guyton. 3 seconds. It's tied up, top of the key, throws it up, and it won't fall, and that'll do it. That is the end of the first half with the score. Indiana 37 and Michigan 30. Michelle Tapoya with Pennzoil at the half right after this message and a word from your local station. Thank you. 37:30. Greg Gumbel along with Clark Kellogg back together again. Warn the neighbors, everyone. This is not entirely different from the first time these teams met this year in Ann Arbor. Indiana led by 3 in that game, but things are a little bit different this time around for Michigan.
Well, if Michigan can get the kind of play they need from Bullock and Reed, they can get back in it and possibly steal it.
The Conseco halftime stats look like this, and a couple of glaring things, not the least of which is Michigan's field goal percentage, shooting just 37%. They have been out-rebounded by the Hoosiers 19-17, but take a look at the guard play from Michigan. You expect much more from Robbie Reed and Lewis Bullock, who averaged 34.2 points a game. Today, they are just 2 of 16 from the field. Larry Richardson, what a turnaround for him, though.
Oh, wow. He's picking up right where he left off in the game against Ohio State when he had career highs of 30 minutes, 15 points, and 9 rebounds. Already 11 points and 8 rebounds in the first half.
This from a young man who averages 3.5 points and 2 rebounds a game. It'll be Michigan basketball to start the second half. They are down 20. They'll come onto the floor with Bullock, Reed, Brandon Smith, Peter Vignier, and Leon Jones. Smith, nowhere to go on the baseline, out front. And Bullock starts things off with a 3.
I'm sure Brian Ellerby is pleased to see that. Bullock gets a good look and drains his first triple.
37-33 Hoosiers. For Indiana, Recker, Lewis, Guyton, Richardson, and Haston. Starting the second half. Haston almost lost it. Guyton tried to get it down low, and it's knocked out of bounds. And while we have the opportunity, he fights his way free for a shot, was fouled by Vignier. At least I think it's Vignier. It's not. It's Brandon Smith. And that's number 3 on Smith.
Nice job that time by Indiana to probe the zone with the pass. You can probe the seams with the dribble or the pass. The key is to get some type of interior penetration.
Luke Recker has stepped up his game as far as point production goes, but field goal percentage and free throw percentage are down.
And with the field goal percentage going down, Greg, typically you have to wonder what kinds of shots is the player getting.
Bullock. And Bullock has hit his first 2 shots out of the gate here in the second half. He has 7 on the day, full-point lead for Indiana. Haston turnaround. Around and out. Rebound off to Michigan.
I think you find Bullock, he's feeling good. Or Reed,
Robbie Reed open for 3, front rim. Oh, good look for Richardson from Mike Lewis.
Indiana will look to run. I know a lot of people don't think they're a running team, but they are sneaky in transition.
Vignier, quick hook. Jump off the baseline. Oh, the boys put on their shooting shoes in the locker room. Tight. Gives it up for Recker out of the corner. And a nice blockout job by Leon Jones. three-pointer on the way. Bullock didn't get that one, but the rebound off to Michigan, and that's an offensive foul. That brings Brian Ellerby off the bench, but it's been a generally unpleasant day for the Michigan coach. Brian, they aren't listening.
No, he's had a couple of tough ones. I thought that, again, without benefit of the replay, I thought that probably was the right call. It seemed as though Jones initiated all of the contact, and the IU defender was in good, solid position.
Kind of had it in his mind to take it where he wanted to go from the get-go. 17:50 to play, second half, 41-37. Hoosiers with the ball in a 4-point lead. Guyton, ball fake, and then back up top. Oh, what a look inside. Another good look inside. Lewis to Hastings.
We mentioned how Bob Knight chastised A.J. about the shot fake, but on passes, when you fake, you get the defense to react to that fake, and that can sometimes create additional passing lanes for you.
That's Chris Young. Boy, Mike Lewis with 7 assists today. Has had 63 assists in his last 8 games coming in here, with 7 more on today. Tips it back outside. Hoosiers almost lost it out of bounds. Still plenty of time on the shot clock at 15. Lewis tried to get it down to the baseline, gets the ball back, and that is out of bounds to Indiana.
Nice ball movement against the zone. The shot fake gets the defenders out of position, and then the pump fake on the pass creates the opening for Hastings inside. Well done by Indiana and Lewis in particular.
And a little difference of opinion between Hastings and Lewis Bullock, who continue to talk to each other.
Just getting to know each other, as they say.
7 on the shot clock. Hastings out of the corner is there. 12 for Kirk Hastings. He averages 9 a game. 45-39, Indiana. Bullock looks down low and held the ball too long. And now we have a short 20-second timeout called by Brian Ellerby, who wants to make sure his guys don't let things get away through their own fault. While we have the opportunity, we'll remind you Brian Ellerby, quick chat with his troops and then sends them back out to do battle.
He actually devoted most of that time out to Lewis Bullock, wanting him to be assertive and aggressive with the ball.
Recker inside, Richardson. Richardson has now matched his career high of 15 that he hit against Ohio State.
That's just excellent penetration by Recker and a good find to give Richardson an easy one at the goal.
Reed's drive, picked off, Recker. Recker down the lane, hard foul, and he'll go to the line.
Dribble drive by Recker, draws defenders, no rotation, and Richardson able to get to the hole. Now Bullock just making sure that he's not going to allow Recker to get it on the rim. Sends him to the line.
And getting a little conversation from the official about the last foul as well. Recker 6 of 6 from the line today. 7 out of 7. This is not bad from a 71% free throw shooter on the season. Oliver on the floor now replaces Robbie Reed. Michigan's lot would be a whole lot better if Robbie Reed could find the range.
Indiana's done a nice job on both Bullock and Reed.
Recker now 8 out of 8 from the line. Indiana's lead has swelled to 10 with 15:43 to play. Yo. As you look at Bob Knight, let's take you back to his day, senior day, here at Indiana University back in 1995.
Patrick Knight is my all-time favorite Indiana player.
Pat Knight, the son of the coach and now an assistant coach here at Indiana University. He said, you know, everybody except Pat was a little bit breaking up a little bit that day, and he said until he heard his dad call his name, and then he lost it.
Well, I tell you what, Bob Knight has been tremendously accomplished as a coach, but being a father preceded his coaching career and supersedes whatever he's done as a coach.
We asked Pat yesterday, you know, just how did he happen to become an assistant here, and he said, you know, I was on a fishing trip with my dad, and one of his coaches quit while he was on the fishing trip, and he comes over and he says, you want to come back? Pat was doing a little coaching in the USBL at the time. In fact, he said he had coached, his team started out 4-7, and the owner said, we're going to go in another direction. And Pat says they hired the 12th guy on the bench who happened to be the owner's nephew. Bullock. And draws the foul from Mike Lewis. By the way, the Academic All-Stars recognized one player on each team for academic excellence. Today's game, the All-Stars are Robbie Reed of Michigan, a business administration major, and from Indiana, Luke Recker, a sports communication major. Congratulations to them. This will be 3 free throws. Bullock fouled, attempting the shot from behind the three-point line. And he misses the first. Bullock, an 86% free throw shooter and the best in the Big Ten Conference.
And that's for his career. You don't see him miss many. And right now, you and I were talking during the break, for Michigan, it's become an all-perimeter game in the absence of Josh Aslan, who has the 4 fouls. He did score 8 points when he was on the floor, but only was able to play 6 minutes in that first half. Big discrepancy in the free throw game, in part because Michigan went over the limit so early in that first half.
7 free throw attempts for Michigan today, a team that averages 20 a game on the season. Still, they trailed by just 8. Richardson turnaround, got 2 more.
They found the guy they can go to in the post in addition to Haston.
Career high 17.
Oh, and if you're Indiana, it couldn't come at a better time as you move towards the postseason conference tournament and the mayhem of March.
Jones for Smith. Shot clock under 10. Smith working his way inside. Shot comes up short. Rebound off to Richardson. Recker on the run. Behind the back. Haston. And he'll go to the line to shoot 2. First foul of the day on Chris Young. And Haston at the line. A 68% free throw shooter.
Really been impressed with this young man's game as I've watched him over the season. Possesses an excellent touch and has a George Mikan type hook in his bag. We haven't seen it today, but he can throw the jump hook or the sweeping hook, which you don't see many players doing that effectively.
Haston hits them both. 14 points, 5 rebounds for the freshman, and it's a 53-41 lead for Indiana. Bullock for Smith. Back to a 10-point game. Recker. Here comes Smith. This little change of direction, and he puts it up.
You know, we talked to Brian Ellerby about Brandon Smith, who has an awful lot in his game. He can handle the ball. He's a versatile defender. He's a sporadic three-point shooter, but his mentality is not to score.
Brian Ellerby says that's exactly what he needs to supplement what he already has, what he usually has in Josh Aslan inside and with Robbie Reed and Lewis Bullock outside.
That third spoke in the wheel. And Brandon Smith is capable, but Scoring isn't just about having the ability to score. It's a mindset and a mentality. Sometimes it's hard for guys who haven't been called on to score a lot to develop that kind of mentality.
53-45, 13:40 to play now here in the second half. Record fouled. And fouled by Leon Jones. That's 3 on Jones.
Good ball movement and execution pretty much all day long by the Hoosiers. That time Record came from the weak side, just a little cut, and beat his defender.
Record continues to put points on the board from the free throw line. I want to remind you, coming up next, final round coverage of the Nissan Open from Pacific Palisades, California. Ted Treva still with a 2-shot lead on Tiger Woods and Ernie Els. Record 10 out of 10 from the free throw line today. And Indiana leads by 10. Bullock. Bullock with 11 on the day. Record draws the double team. Haston from outside is off the mark. Here comes Michigan, and Record reacted just a second too late for the interception. He tipped it out of bounds. In practice yesterday, Record was mixing it up. Got into one wrestling match with a teammate, and 10 minutes later into a wrestling match with another. Asked Bob Knight about it, and he says, you know, we have boxing gloves back in the locker room. If they want to do that, we can come out here and fight rather than practice.
It gets like that on occasion. Banging into your teammates.
That is a blocking foul called against Indiana, and that will bring Knight off the bench. Foul is on Haston.
Penetration by Brandon Smith.
Yes, coach. Your silence is deafening.
It seemed like he slid in there just a tad. And that points out how difficult. I'm looking at the replay, trying to figure out whether or not it was the right call, and the officials are doing it instantaneously.
You know, you don't have to kiss up to them anymore because you're not playing anymore. Haston comes down with the rebound. Richardson. And Young comes off of the board. 55-48, Indiana. Bullock for 3. Round and out, and Richardson with another rebound.
Got a double-double for himself.
Record. And Record draws the foul. Ron Oliver, the senior from Little Rock. The last thing these Indiana Hoosiers want to see is an overtime game. They have had a ton of them this season. 6 in all.
Split them. 3 and 3 in the OT game.
Guyton baseline pass intercepted and in the lane picked off by Michigan. Bullock forces it up in the lane, and that foul over the top is going to go against Young.
Bullock wondering why he didn't get the foul call. You're right, he did force that shot, looking to draw contact. It wasn't happening, and then Young picks up the foul.
And we're going to go to the line and shoot a 1-and-1 before we take a commercial. So the officials will say, everybody down here, and then we'll take a breather. And Brian Ellerby is less than pleased down here in front of him. Michael Lewis will go to the line, 6'1" junior from Jasper, Indiana. And Lewis is yet to hit the scoreboard today. off by Young.
So despite all of the adversity, the free throw discrepancy, the lack of having Aslan on the floor, struggling from the perimeter of Bullock and Reed, this is only a 7-point game.
Jones into the lane, blocked by Record. Guyton with the ball. On the move, off the glass, no, rebound, Young.
They've got numbers if they push it.
Bullock around his man and off the glass for 2. 55-50. 13 for Bullock. Haston looking down low for Richardson, and he is fouled by Jones.
Brian Ellerby wanting the 3-second call.
That's 4 on Leon Jones. So Richardson, who has had himself a terrific afternoon, missed the free throw.
That's been a problem for Indiana all year long, free throw shooting, especially in conference play.
Indiana shot 67.5% from the line this season, and that's out of bounds. And now we'll take a timeout with 10:48 to play here in the second half. Our coverage of NCAA men's basketball continues after this message and a word from your local station.
Oh, shoot, this guy flipped over. Said he's okay, though.
You know what? He didn't get any push off of it, and that's why his flip came up short.
Way to dissect it, partner.
That's why, you know, you can get hurt out there. Don't get hurt out there.
You got that right.
Top man pyramid? No thanks. That old Three Stooges thing. Top man. Oh no.
Michigan's already committed 8 fouls. They're going to be sending 2 shots.
Say that again.
They got into the
Game 10 and 16 on the year, just 4 and 9 in the Big Ten, and you say, well, what are they playing for? This is what they're playing for.
The postseason Big Ten tournament, Indiana looking to improve their seed. And that tournament, I've seen enough conference tournaments when the conference is as balanced as the Big Ten is, where it can be absolutely wild. And I think that's what we're going to have in the Big Ten tournament.
As we approach 10.5 minutes to play here in the second half, Indiana with the ball and a 5-point lead. And Josh Aslan back onto the floor and grabs that ball for Michigan.
Expect Indiana to attack Aslan. They know he's got the 4 fouls, so they'll probably try to go to Richardson an awful lot at their offensive end of the floor.
Vignier. And didn't get it to fall, but he'll go to the free throw line.
And in conference play, Greg, Vignier is an 88% free throw shooter. He doesn't get there much, 24 times in 13 games, but he's made 21 of them.
Vignier bypassed Harvard University to attend Michigan, member of the National Honor Society. So it's not like he doesn't know what he has to do.
And he does it effectively there.
Michigan 3 of 5 from the line in the first half, now 6 of 7, now 7 of 8 here in the second half. 3-point game. 11 points for Peter Vignier.
If you're Indiana, you've played pretty well. You've got to be wondering, how is this game this close? And you look back, obviously a long way to go, but when you have a team that's at a disadvantage and you don't take full advantage of that, it can come back to bite you over the course of the ball game.
Speaking of being bitten, Brian Ellerby sends Josh Aslan in there with 4 personals, and now Brandon Smith draws his 4th, and he has to come out of the game. He's replaced by Leon Jones. So Michigan with Bullock, Reed, Jones, Aslan, and Vignier. And Record now 11 for 11 from the free throw line. And there's the personal situation. Michigan in big trouble here.
Major. Nobody in real trouble for IU at this point. And Record continues to make every free throw he takes.
57-52. and 10 minutes to play here in the second half. And we get a foul called. Foul called on Lewis. Lewis thought the call would go against Bullock, but instead it's Mike Lewis, and that's his second.
There's an awful lot of hand fighting that goes on, especially when you're a scorer like Bullock, who runs off a lot of screens. So the defender will bump, grab, and a lot of times you can get away with it. That time Lewis got caught.
Look at Bob Knight. He's talking about his hands. And play inside, and that's knocked out of bounds. It'll be Michigan. Bob Knight telling us yesterday he teaches his players, keep your hands out to the side where the officials can see them.
But when you want to grab, you got to keep them close to your body, and that's exactly what Lewis was doing there.
Bullock's three doesn't fall. Tap no good. Rebound Hastings.
A.J. Guyton was relatively quiet all day long, but he can erupt at any moment.
Recker. And Recker fouled by Bullock.
Well, it looks like now, Greg, we are in what you would call a 20-mile-an-hour zone in terms of the pace of this game because of the foul situation.
So Recker, Mr. Perfection at the free throw line. To be a machine at the free throw line.
He hasn't even come close to missing everything right dead center.
14 for 14 from the line, 59-52. Big near, down low, Aslan had it blocked. And it is Michigan ball.
Aslan got a hand in there and bumped it off of Richardson. Good defense by the Hoosiers inside. Richardson does a nice job recovering and gives Hastings time to come over and help out with the block. And there you see Richardson lost it off his leg. Good call. Things getting a little testy for Lewis Bullock. Dane Fife has the size and quickness to really bother him. Lewis has struggled with his shot all day, and you can see some frustration starting to build.
10 on the shot clock.
I don't know if the Wolves know it.
Bignier got it. Peter Bignier, 13 on the day, 5-point lead again for the Hoosiers, 9 minutes to play. Wolverines back to their zone defense. Record on the move. And this will go against the Wolverines. And that'll be 5 on Leon Jones. So Leon Jones is gone. Jones, the 6'4" freshman from Battle Creek, 2 points, 7 rebounds.
He gave him good activity, good work at the defensive end. Ryan Ellaby has to be pleased with the effort, considering he was forced into duty a little earlier than normal because of the fouls with Aslan in the first half.
Meanwhile, Larry Richardson continues to build on his career day. 18 points, 11 rebounds. Six-point lead.
Boy, Fife and Bullock really locking into each other.
Two number 11s. Reed down low, Bignier. And threw it away. And that screen at the top of the key goes against Richardson. Bob Knight wants to know what's wrong with this pick.
Well, let's take a look, see if he slides in. See, he slides in with his chest and upper body. Had he just stayed still, then the dribbler could have run Bullock into the screen. But he leaned in with the upper body, and that's why he's guilty of the foul.
4 on Richardson. And Bullock to the line.
I tell you what, they need to find a whirlpool full of ice for Lewis Bullock. He's taking an awful lot of hits today.
14 points on the day for Bullock. He averages just over 20 and a half a game.
He's got a mild demeanor. I talked to him before the game, and there's some fire underneath that jersey.
Well, you bring that out in a lot of people.
Oh, that was...
Indiana by 4. And the foul, that may be Aslan's 5th. It is Josh Aslan's 5th, and he's gone.
Tremendous work by Indiana to get the ball from the strong side to the weak side against the zone. And Recker's been really good today, making cuts away from the ball.
8 points and a rebound for Aslan today. Got off on the wrong foot with 2 quick fouls and never really recovered. Didn't get much playing time as a result.
It's tough, especially for inside players, to play with fouls because the action is so physical. There's so much contact in there, and you don't want to lose your aggressiveness when you're on the floor. So when you pick up the early fouls, it just really changes the whole game.
Oh, stop the presses. Recker missed a field goal. He's now a paltry 14 of 15 from the line. Like all good players, he says, hey, we'll start a new streak. 7:51 to play here in regulation. Indiana by 5. Complete with pizza. And let's ask Dr. Know-It-All here. Well, just how is Michigan still in this game?
Well, if you can't get quality, get quantity. Michigan has taken 16 more shots at the basket by virtue of converting off turnovers and offensive rebounding, and that's why they've been able to hang around. And they've made a high percentage of the free throws they have gotten.
I knew if I went to someone with the answers.
Well, if you're going to give me a nice assist, then I want to try to finish the play for you.
I should have been your point guard at Ohio State.
Well, I'm looking forward to you being my point guard for the next, what, 5 weekends?
Yeah, we might as well move in together, you know? 61-56 Indiana. And Michigan still hasn't gotten that spark from one particular player that Brian Ellerby needs. And the Wolverines still hanging around. Cross-court pass, a no-no, picked off by Recker. Recker down the lane, through the foul. And that is Bullock's 4th. So pretty much everybody on Michigan except Brian Ellerby has 4 fouls.
And that's been a huge story in this game. Michigan sending Indiana to the line early and often in both halves.
And the guy you don't want to send to the line is Luke Recker. Check out the CBS Sports Line stat of the game. It is the free throw situation, and Recker accounting for a bunch of those. He has missed just 1 all day long in 18 tries. For complete college basketball coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com. 63-56 Indiana. Young back outside to Reed, and another pass picked off by Recker. Recker on the drive. And here comes Reed. Guyton back to meet him. Blocked it.
What a tremendous display of body control by Guyton as he let Reed go by, avoided the contact, and then timed the jump beautifully.
Vignier with the foul. Let's go back to the block.
AJ may not have scored much today, but this is a beautiful example of excellent hustle and body control. He let him get under him so he had space, then timed the ball beautifully and came up with the block. AJ, you show me something new every time I show up when you're in the building.
Big Near's second foul, you know, all the way home. I think Brian Ellerby is going to talk about sending Luke Recker to the free throw line, because all he's doing is wrecking the Wolverines today.
And he's generated a lot of the fouls with his movement off the ball. These last two have been off turnovers, but he's had an excellent day, I think, moving without the basketball.
We were talking yesterday about slashers in the game. Luke Recker is a slasher.
He certainly is.
21 points.
No way.
That shot short, tapped up, no good. Guyton with the rebound. Guyton, the lob for Recker, came up short. That one would have brought the house down. Bullock for three. Hits the deck as it goes through. 65-59.
And again, I talked about it earlier. When you have three-point shooters like Reed and Bullock, as long as that margin stays around 8, 9, 10, you still feel like you've got a chance as long as there's enough time.
Pike. Back outside for Guyton. Recker. Fouled as he got the three-pointer away. And that is Brandon Smith, and that's 5. You know, there are so many things wrong with that play. It's unbelievable, Clark. You're going to send Luke Recker to the line to shoot 3, and you're going to commit your 5th on a play like that. It doesn't make sense.
That's been the story of the game for Brian Ellerby and his club today.
So now, Ellerby sends Oliver onto the floor to replace Brandon Smith, who is the 3rd Wolverine to foul out of the game today. Indiana 27 of 34 from the line today. Recker 20 of 21. They may build a little monument down there at that free throw line for him. I want to remind you, coming up next, final round coverage of the Nissan Open. Ted Treba with a 2-shot lead. And Recker hits 3 for 3. And they're yelling boo. 22 for 23 from the line today.
It's got to be close to some type of record.
Robbie Reed hits a 3. 68-62.
It'll be interesting if Michigan could break through the 6-point deficit barrier, because they haven't been able to yet. And if it gets down to a 1-possession game, things could change from Indiana's perspective.
Well, Guyton missed the 3, Big Near with the rebound, and we come up on 5 minutes to play. And Michigan looking at a 6-point deficit. Bullock gets rid of it, gets it back. On the move, hits.
Well done.
No.
Move after you pass.
This is the time of the game. Brian Ellerby was telling us yesterday, his players begin to look at the clock. That bothers him a little bit.
You can't clock watch now. You fought hard all game long. You played from the bottom side of the scoreboard. Now you need a defensive stand and a rebound, and it can change drastically if you can cut it to a 1-possession game.
Reed with the steal on the pass intended for the middle of the floor. 4:15 to play.
You need a high-quality shot. Nothing forced.
Wide open shot is good. Ron Oliver cuts it to a 2-point Indiana lead, and Bob Knight wants timeout. 20-second timeout. While we have the moment, let's remind you, here's what we have. 4:02 remaining in regulation. Indiana leading it 68-66. Each team with a 20-second timeout and 2 full timeouts remaining, and the Hoosiers with the possession arrow in their favor.
This is as close as Michigan has been in a long time. Brian Ellerby had to settle his team down. In their excitement, you thought maybe they had taken the lead. Well, they haven't. So Brian Ellerby has to get his team back on a level where they realize they've got to come up with a stop and keep grinding away. They come to a man-to-man defense out of that timeout. After being effective with the zone.
Pasted off the baseline short. Tapped out, grabbed by Reed. Michigan looking for a tie or better as we come up on 3.5 minutes to play. Bullock into the lane, fakes, puts it up, can't get it to fall, rebound off to Hastings.
You had the guy with the shot you wanted, just didn't go.
Guyton calling for the ball, didn't get it. Richardson turnaround, no. And a rebound, it's tied up, and it'll be Indiana basketball. And we'll get a timeout on the floor. 3:17 to play when we come back to Assembly Hall. Yeah. Now, Richardson was his last second decision, right? Yeah. Indiana 2-point lead, 3:17 to play. The Arthur Anderson wise decision of the game. You have to give it to Coach Bob Knight, who at the last moment decided to start Larry Richardson today. Good move by the coach.
A double-double for Richardson. Career highs in both points and boards. 2 of them right there. And we're going to show a nice little jump, turnaround jumper. And he's done it by dunking and shooting a nice jump shot.
28 games for Indiana. This is the 29th. This is the 11th start for Larry Richardson. He was a last-minute replacement by Knight. Let's see how it turns out. Turned out pretty well so far.
Indiana's missed their last 10.
Lewis on the spin, fouled by Vignier, who doesn't think he committed the foul.
And Bullock certainly doesn't want it because he's got 4. Penetration by Lewis. Nice spin dribble here to get around Bullock.
Ooh.
And Vignier and Bullock were in the neighborhood, but there wasn't an awful lot of contact by either one.
Mike Lewis looking for his first point of the day and gets it. 3-point lead for the Hoosiers. And now it's 4 at 70-66. Bullock working off the pick, inside, now back out. Reed, long 3, got it! Got the bounce. It's a 1-point game with 2:50 to play.
Well, you think A.J. Guyton has to try to avail himself for the ball. He's been really quiet. He's done some good things, but now come winning time, he's got to think about trying to get a hold of the ball.
Baseline shot blocked by Chris Young. Vignier holding his ground. Shot clock is at 8. And now a timeout is called, and that's a 20-second timeout. You know, Indiana with a 1-point lead, and close games are nothing new to them. Take a look at their last 6 games, Clark.
A record 6 overtime games, 4 in the last 6. But they played in 6 on the season, and they've been 3-3 in overtime.
Now what we have here, 2:25 to play. Indiana by 1. Michigan has the lone 20-second timeout remaining. Each team with 2 full timeouts, and the next possession arrow will favor the Wolverines. Michigan's last lead was at 9-8 with 16:36 to play in the first half.
It's been a while.
clock is at 5. Guyton for 3.
That's why you want to find him, and he's got to make himself available. Big shot from Guyton.
Indiana had missed 11 straight shots before Guyton connected on that 3. Bullock answers back.
We featured those guys at the top, and you know why. When it's game-winning time, these are the guys that their teams look to make plays.
Bullock has 22. And hitting the deck is Recker, and the foul is on Reed. That's number 2 on Robbie Reed.
Recker moving without the ball. He's contact there. Chris Young, there it is right there. He got the chicken wing out there, Robbie Reed. Matter of fact, there were 3 or 4 times the whistle could have blown on that particular possession.
I'm telling you, Recker was all over the floor during practice yesterday, and there's his second miss. We remind you, the top stars of the music world shine in Los Angeles at the Grammy Awards Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on CBS. And he missed 2. Coming up on a minute 40 to play. Michigan down 2. Bullock with Guyton tailing it. Gets a pick. Jump shot is hard. Rebound out of bounds to Indiana. And that was a bit of a force by Bullock.
Just a touch, but again, the line is so thin when your star player and leading scorer decides to take a shot. You can't get on him too much because you want it in his hands. Sometimes a poor shot from your best player is better than a better shot from one of your other players.
And that's an offensive foul on Recker.
Swim stroke. Fine in the water, but you can't use it on the court.
Bob Knight telling him, think.
Take a look. Watch the left hand. Right there. Bang. There it is. Clearly the right call.
65 seconds to play. Bullock trying to fight his way through traffic in the lane. Reed for 3. The save picked off by Guyton. Indiana will now want to chew up some time.
Well, this is
ball in the lead.
Sorry, Greg, but in this situation, Michigan, I think, has to play solid defense and rebound the ball. That's the key. Force a tough shot and then make sure you finish the defensive possession and rebound because you've got about a 12-second difference between game and shot clock.
Shot clock on the left, game clock on the right. Haston off the baseline, got the front rim, rebound, out of bounds to Michigan. And Brian Ellerby wants a timeout. Ellerby gets his timeout. 16.5 seconds to play. Indiana by 2. 73-71. Indiana, 16.5 seconds to play. Michigan has a 20-second timeout and a full timeout. Indiana with 2 full ones. Possession arrow and a tie-up favors the Michigan Wolverines.
They've got to go the full length. But I think if you're Michigan, you've got to try to get something fairly quickly. So if you don't get it, you have a chance to get a rebound or you have a chance to foul Indiana and stretch the game. But it looks like they're going to take their time. I would expect it to be Bullock. He should try to get something going to the hole. Maybe they'll look for the 3 to win it.
Bullock into the lane, pull up, doesn't fall, rebound, Indiana, and it's over. Lewis Bullock got his shot, and it was a good look.
He got a leaner in the lane. Look at the clock in the right corner. That's a pretty good look. He's looking for contact. No whistle. And then Richardson gets his hands on it. At that point, all you want is that clock to expire if you're Indiana.
Bob Knight had some words for Brian Ellerby at the tail end, and I imagine there was a little admiration for keeping his team in this game. Luke Recker, the free throw maven today, and these Hoosiers probably happy to escape the way they did.
Without question.
Chevrolet most valuable players of the game, Larry Richardson for Indiana. 18 points, 12 rebounds, both career highs. Lewis Bullock of Michigan, 22 points and 5 assists. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. It's been a Chevrolet tradition for 28 years.
Oh, is that right? Is that right? Yeah. Good to see you. Good to see you.
And then a pause. To the card, right? Back at Assembly Hall in Bloomington for Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg Gumbel saying so long from Assembly Hall. Our final score, Indiana 73. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the Men's NCAA Championship.